The other night, President Trump declared that he would not allow Israel to annex the West Bank.
But did you promise leaders this week that you would not allow Israel to annex the West Bank? And is that something that you...
I will not allow Israel to annex the West Bank. No, I will not allow it. It's not going to happen.
Did you speak with Netanyahu about this directly?
Yeah, but I'm not going to allow it. Whether I spoke to him or not, I did. But I'm not allowing Israel to annex the West Bank. There's been enough. It's time to stop now, okay? Yes,
Some people are angry. Some people are extremely disappointed. Personally, I'm not surprised and definitely not worried, even though, yeah, I'm disappointed, very. So let's start with the basics. It's not the West Bank. That's a term that our enemies use, a geographic fiction designed to erase our ancient, undeniable Jewish connection to our biblical ancestral homeland, Judea and Samaria. That's the correct name, the historic cradle of Jewish civilization, where the majority of Bible stories took place, where Abraham, Isaac, Jacob walked, where our prophets spoke, and where our people lived for thousands of years. The only reason anyone calls it the West Bank is because Jordan illegally occupied the West Bank of the Jordan River. That's why it's called the West Bank, a geographic description. For 19 years, they occupied this area, and the world decided to run with the propaganda because it disconnects the Jewish connection from our ancestral biblical homeland. So you do not annex something that's already yours. This is ours for thousands of years. So maybe President Trump was just using the wrong term on purpose. Maybe it was semantics, but more likely it wasn't, and he meant what he said. Still, I'm not panicking, and that's because I am a realist. Realism means looking beyond the headlines and seeing the full picture. President Trump, despite this comment, has been one of the strongest allies Israel has ever had. He moved the U.S. Embassy to Jerusalem, recognized our sovereignty over the Golan Heights, pulled out of the disastrous Iran nuclear deal, and unapologetically supported Israel's right to fight this war across the whole Islamo-Nazi Middle East region. But here's where realism cuts even deeper. No matter what any U.S. president says or tries to do, including our best friend ever in the White House, President Trump, sovereignty over Judea and Samaria and Gaza is not just inevitable. It is necessary for Israel and the whole freedom-loving world, including for America's best interests. Why? Because Hamas is never going to disarm in Gaza. Because the Palestinian Authority is never going to stop funding terrorism or inciting to murder in Judea and Samaria. Because the international community will never prioritize Jewish security over political theater and appeasing their growing Muslim population. Because the two-state solution was never a solution, it's really a delusion and just a slogan masking a long war to destroy the Jewish state slowly but surely. Hamas has openly declared that October 7th was just the beginning. Their charter still calls for genocide and destroying the Jewish people and Jewish state of Israel. Their actions, from the massacre of our babies to the brutal torture of civilians and mass rape of our women, prove they are not freedom fighters. They are a genocidal death cult. No amount of negotiations, ceasefires, or foreign aid, even under President Trump, will change all that. And the so-called moderate Palestinian Authority, they're just as complicit. They name schools after terrorists. They pay salaries to murderers sitting in Israeli jails. They've never stopped glorifying violence and terror against us. The Palestinian Authority doesn't want peace either. They want power, and they want it built on the ashes of the Jewish state of Israel. So they're going to continue to try to kill us no matter how long it takes them and destroy us. So explain to me, how is Israel supposed to exist with our lands under their control, Judea and Samaria and Gaza? We already did that in Gaza. We pulled out totally in 2005. Not one Jewish resident was left in the Gaza Strip. Not one IDF soldier remained. Not one Jewish grave even remained in the ground in Gaza. And what do we get in return? 20 years of terror tunnels, rocket barrages, the horrific October 7th massacre of innocents. With this barbaric war raging on, with our hostages still being held in Gaza terror tunnels. To that we say, never again. That is why sovereignty is inevitable. Because the status quo, no matter whatever deals Trump wants to make, is unsustainable. If we do not apply Israeli law in Judea and Samaria and Gaza, Someone else will, whether it's Hamas, the PA, ISIS, or anyone else. And when lawlessness reigns, Jewish blood is spilled and they continue their crusade to destroy us. But here's the most important truth of all. I'm not worried, because as a Jew, I do not put my faith in world leaders, not even President Trump, not even Prime Minister Netanyahu. I put my faith only in God. We are obligated to act, to defend ourselves, to train, to speak the truth, to build, to create facts on the ground in Israel. But ultimately, it is God who determines the outcome. The rebirth of the Jewish state of Israel in 1948, that wasn't supposed to happen. And yet it did, overcoming all obstacles. Winning all of our wars since 1948 to today against impossible odds. That also wasn't supposed to happen, yet we have won them all. Surviving the Iranian and Qatari-backed multi-front genocidal assault against us that began on October 7th. We weren't supposed to survive that either, and yet we've survived and we're thriving and winning this war. Because God is running the world. And our return to this land is not a modern political story. It's a divine promise unfolding in real time. So I choose to focus on being grateful to President Trump for all that he's done, grateful to Prime Minister Netanyahu and all that he's done, and to God for everything that he is always doing behind the scenes that we don't even see. And I choose to stay focused on educating, advocating, and explaining to everyone why sovereignty over Judea and Samaria, and yes, Gaza, is the only way to finally end the genocidal terror war against us and deter our enemies, and why it will eventually happen. Trump introduced his Gaza immigration plan, a rational, humane strategy to give Arabs in those areas the option of leaving, since their booby-trapped terror tunnel homes are no longer existing. That is the only plan that addresses the reality on the ground, not fantasy peace accords or ceasefires with genocidal Islamic enemies, not empowering the next Mahmoud Abbas or Ismail Haniyeh, all those in this genocidal culture called Palestine who support our destruction must live elsewhere, not in Judea, Samaria, or Gaza. So whether it's under President Trump and Prime Minister Netanyahu or under some other leaders after them, I know sovereignty in our ancestral biblical lands will eventually happen. It's not a question of it will happen, of if it will happen, but when it will happen. Why am I so sure? Because I'm a realist, and because I believe in God and in the destiny of the Jewish people back as sovereign in our land of Israel, all of it. Judea and Samaria is not a bargaining chip. It is the heart of our home, the heart of our nation, the heart of our Jewish identity, and no one will stop us from claiming what is ours. So to conclude, the hard truth, which too many in the West, including too many Jews, even in Israel, still refuse to acknowledge, is that the ideology driving Hamas, Islamic Jihad, and their backers is not about a border dispute with us. It's a 1,400 plus year global jihadist movement committing to subjugating and conquering the whole world. All Christians, all Jews, all non-Muslims conquered and submitted in the name of Allah. October 7th was not only an attack on Israel, it was an attack on the values of every freedom-loving society in the world. That's why the loss of land for radical Islamic movements in Judea and Samaria and Gaza through Israeli sovereignty, combined with President Trump's own immigration plan, is the one and only necessary step forward to uproot this terror structure from within us and protect the entire civilized world from this 14-plus-year-old Islamic jihadist ideology. Appeasing that ideology instead of crushing it, and pressuring Israel not to apply sovereignty in our ancestral homelands is not just bad for Israel, that is disastrous for the United States, for European countries, and for the entire freedom-loving world, because it signals weakness and invites more terror from that genocidal death cult of jihadi Islam, not less. History has shown us only moral clarity and decisive action defeat evil, never appeasement. The Jewish people, back as sovereign in our God-given ancestral homeland, we today have that moral clarity. Those who bless us and support us to do what is necessary will be blessed. Those who curse us and stop us from doing what needs to be done will be cursed. God said that in the Bible as clear as black on white. Yes, it is that simple. All one has to do is strengthen their faith in the only entity worthy of faith, and that is God. So I end by saying onwards to sovereignty and to Trump's immigration plan for the Arabs in Judea and Samaria and Gaza. When? We just have to wait and see. Am Yisrael Chai, signing off from more time defending the Jewish people, our holy land, and the whole freedom-loving world by serving in the IDF. If you are not yet a subscriber to our daily, belief-based, inspiring, politically incorrect, truthful videos about Israel, the Jewish people, and the freedom-loving world, what are you waiting for? Go to pulseofisrael.com and click to subscribe today. And yes, we are a donor-based operation. We need your donations for support in order to make these videos and get our videos seen and do all the work we do. So every once in a while, whether a large donation or a small donation, just go to pulseofisrael.com and click on the donate button. Shalom, everyone, and thanks for watching.
Pulse of Israel, frontline videos from the Holy Land. Support our work by donating today.